So thanks for coming here to stage 2 today. And I saw some of you already at our booth this morning. Thanks also. I have a first question. Who of you actually has an account at a pure digital bank, at a branchless bank? Well, a few of you, but really not the majority. So Fidor, what we do, we are on the one hand side, we are a bank. On the other hand side, we are a technology provider that basically builds software to help set up your own digital bank. So to give you a brief overview where we're coming from, we started in 2007, had our own online community, applied for a banking license and got that right in the middle of the financial crisis. So basically when everybody didn't want to have anything to do with banks, we started out. And in the same time, we also built our own software around banking. So two things that were kind of strange around that time. And we saw that our software actually not only worked for us in Germany, where we started with that, but also for other banks. So we carved that out into our own company, and we have our own standalone strategy with that now. And Fidor Bank in Germany itself actually had over 100,000 customers last year and is still growing there. So as I said, we set up our own software. Why is that? Well, our biggest challenge in starting the bank from scratch in Germany was we had to get a core banking system. We got one that was not very expensive, so it was kind of hard to work with. It was kind of hard to customize, and the vendors always was saying, oh, this takes several months to do some customizations, but we didn't want to think in months. We wanted to think in weeks. So our biggest challenge was always to have this inflexible core banking system, how to work around that. And so we came up with a solution where it said, okay, here's the core banking system below, and we'll build our own system, what we are now calling FinDEVr in front of that. And what we actually did, and what everybody said was actually pretty strange to do, was to really import all financial transactions from the core banking system into the FinDEVr system, basically replicating everything. So there are duplicates in there, but it actually let us do some nice things. And the other way around, we also wanted to avoid writing too much into the core banking system, so really only at the points where it really is needed, where you have to have it in the ledger, we want to write there. So let me give you a little bit example of how that works using a peer-to-peer payment. So imagine you have a mobile app, you want to send money to one of your friends, you only know their mobile phone number, and in between this has to be booked somewhere into the core banking system, and in between we have the FinDEVr. So in the beginning, the customer starts entering the recipient, the amount, and I'll show that how that looks on the mobile side in a second. Then this has to be validated. So does the customer really have the amount of money he's entering? Does the customer, is he allowed to send this amount of money? Is the recipient known, and so on? This is completely done on our system, not hitting the core banking system, and then the customer confirms the payment, and then it actually starts booking this payment in our system. It's shown to the sender already, so really in real time saying you have a reduced amount on your side, and you can see the transaction. And then only we hit the core banking system, booking it there, and then not booking it there, sending it to the core banking system and showing to the receiver. And after the fact, we really do the booking, which can sometimes take hours or is done at the end of the day, depending on the core banking system. So in this way, the customer, the sender receiver, sees the transaction in a very fast and timely manner. And we didn't really have to change the core banking system. So why do we do that? Why do we replicate that? For example, we can build new products like a short-term loan. This we completely built in a way where we could just use the financial transactions that we already have in our system, could build a scoring over that, seeing how often does the customer get payments, incoming payments, and can then do the interest calculation, repayments, reminders completely in our system, and only for booking the money from one central account to a customer and back is done in the core banking system. Or another example would be global money transfer, where we have using our fintech company, Currency Cloud, that does the global money transfer, all the entry of the data, the exchange, and sending the money is done through the fintech, and after the fact it's booked in the core banking system. So in this way, the banking customer can use different kinds of fintechs without it hitting and making it too complicated. So we can also have fast responses using APIs from the front-end system because we have the data in there, and it's easier to integrate to the core banking system. So our general architecture looks like that. From the below, you have the core banking system. Then we have a thin integration layer that makes it easy, and we're able to integrate in a matter of months to a core banking system. Then we have a message bus, and then our different systems over that, and then an API to the front end where we can plug in different front-end applications. So something to introduce here actually is what we're introducing now is a mobile accelerator. So using these APIs to the front end, you not only can build your complete own front end from scratch, but you can start with the mobile app, and this is how it looks. So for example, the example of the peer-to-peer payment, you would just say, okay, I want to use a mobile number. You jump to your address book of your phone, you select the number, go to the next screen, enter the amount, confirm that, for example, by a pin or any other challenge that you usually have, and the mobile payment is done. So it's instantaneously, and this accelerator basically enables it to you to customize that. Similarly, we have an onboarding process where you can completely register and do the KYC process in the app, and these are the main screens on transaction overview, card management. As I said, we are using a standard set of APIs. This can be used by also by third parties. Basically, as a developer, you can develop applications for different kinds of banks because any bank that uses our system has a similar set of APIs. And these are using standard technologies, RESTful APIs, using JSON, OAuth, basically what developers, you as a web developer would use anyway. We have starter kits for Node, PHP, Go, and Ruby, and have different elements in there that you can use, not only financial transactions, but also payments, savings products, overdrafts and loans, card management, and so on. So let me jump into that and show you hands-on how that would work. This is our page, APM Fidor.de is the page where you can set up your sandbox environment, and we also have information here how to get a demo account and how to set it up. So that's public, everybody can use that. You can, once you're signed up, you can just enter the application manager, and here are my different applications that are already registered, but I can also download an application, a demo application, and install it and start with a small sample. So I did that already for a Ruby application. I have that already in here, so it's basically just one Ruby file. I can just start that. This example application, and what it does basically starts a web server on my local host. It has this port here, so if I just jump to that port, and I already did that in the back end, so normally I would have to log in and authorize this app that I already did, just for the sake of time. Then I get a bearer token or auth bearer token to use the sandbox. So I can jump over to a RESTful client here. Can enter the bearer token, and for example, if I want to see my accounts that I have, I can just send that. It's a get statement, and I can see here my account number, my IBAN for SEPA payments, my balance, available balance, and so on, and also more details about me as a customer, name and address data, and so on. As I said, that's all a sandbox, so you can start. This is already populated with data in here. One part of that is also transaction data, so I'll add the bearer token to that and get a list of current transactions. And for example, you can see here, there's a Fidor payout payment, subject test, and an amount of $33. And what I want to show you now is how to do a payment yourself. So getting back to the example of the peer-to-peer payment, I would initiate an internal transfer. I have to add the bearer token again, and I have to look at the body. So what I have here is the account ID. That is my account that I'm using. A receiver that I just receiver I entered in here, and we'll just assume this receiver already has an account in there. If this receiver wouldn't have an account, then she would get an email asking her to sign up with the system, and once she signs up, she would get the amount of money. I have to add a unique UID, so I just add something in here, and I'll add an amount, $123, and put something in here for FinDEVr so that you know that it's unique here. I'll just send it, and as a response I'll get a state of received. So this payment was received in the system, and if everything works, then I should see the same payment with 123 and subject FinDEVr in the transactions. As I said, the old transaction had a subject of test, so I'll send it again. I'm still seeing the test here, so it's probably still in the process. I hope it does work here. Let's try it again, and yeah, so I can see subject FinDEVr 123. So this is a full cycle of doing a payment. And similarly, I can also do that for SEPA payments. For Europe, we'll be adding ACH payments for US-based clients in here, and it will be very similar. So if you build an application based on what we have, then you can use the API in a very similar way, regardless of if it's a local payment system in Europe or the Middle East or the US or anywhere else. So yeah, that's basically an overview what we do. What we are actually looking at the next steps is adding an app marketplace to our offering, so that you will basically be able to write apps, put them into our app marketplace, and banks can operate their own marketplaces. So as a bank, you can add different kinds of fintechs to that. As a fintech, you can develop your own applications and add them to different kinds of banks. So everything else, I think, can be we can show you in person. So we have a booth outside. You can follow us there, and we also have office locations where our main office is in Germany, in Munich, but we also have an office now here in New York, and we're also in Dubai. So yeah, just come in and speak to us, and if you have any more questions. Thanks.